Have you ever just felt completely, utterly swamped by information?
Yeah, definitely.
Like you're drowning in data, opinions, endless content streams, and just trying to figure out what's what.
Yeah, it's that feeling of chaos, right?
Exactly. And, what happens when knowledge isn't presented clearly? Or worse, when it actually leads to arguments instead of, well, understanding.
Mm.
Today, we're doing a really fascinating deep dive. We're looking into an ancient text that's basically a masterclass in organizing complex wisdom, making it structured, memorable.
We're talking about the Saṅgītisuttaṃ, right? The sutta of recitation from the Buddhist tradition.
That's the one. And it's not just some dusty old scripture. You can almost see it as a blueprint for clarity, especially, in a world that often feels pretty divided.
It really offers some powerful lessons there.
So, okay, the story kicks off in this ancient city, Pāvā. The Buddha arrives with 500 monks. They settle in a mango grove belonging to Kunda the smith.
Right, and the local leaders, the Mallians, they had just finished building this magnificent new assembly hall.
Brand new. Never used before by any teacher, any person at all.
And the Mallians, well, they were hoping for some good vibes, basically. Long-lasting benefit, happiness for their city. So they invited the Buddha to be the very first occupant.
He accepted, just silently.
Mm-hmm.
And they got the hall, already laid out seats, put out water, lit the lamps. Really meticulous preparation.
Setting the stage.
So the Buddha teaches the Mallas for, well, a long time, deep into the night, sharing profound insights. But as dawn gets closer, he's feeling tired.
Understandable after a long session.
So he turns to his chief disciple, Sariputta, and asks him essentially, could you continue the Dhamma talk? For the monks who'd been listening silently the whole time.
And that request, seemingly simple, becomes the catalyst for something really remarkable.
Yeah, tell us about that, because there's a crucial piece of context here, isn't there?
There absolutely is. What's really striking is the why behind it all. Why did the Buddha ask Sariputta, and why did Sariputta respond with such a, well, innovative structure? See, just before this, right there in Pāvā, another prominent spiritual leader had passed away, Nigantha Nātaputta, a Jain leader.
Ah, okay.
And his death, the text tells us, caused, frankly, immense disunity among his followers.
Disunity, how?
Well, quarreling, disputes, the text even says wounding each other with verbal spears. They felt his teachings were, and this is a quote, badly expounded and poorly proclaimed, not conducive to peace, with a broken monument having no refuge.
Wow. So the teaching itself was seen as flawed, leading to conflict after the teacher was gone.
Exactly. It paints a vivid picture, doesn't it? And it highlights this critical question. How do you make sure profound teachings actually last? And crucially, how do you ensure they foster unity, not division? How do you stop knowledge becoming a source of strife?
That context really changes things. It puts Sariputta's task in a whole new light. The stakes were high.
Very high.
So Sariputta steps up. And his response, it's brilliant. A systematic recitation of the Dhamma, organized numerically.
Designed specifically for longevity, to prevent those kinds of future disputes, and ultimately to foster welfare and happiness for everyone.
So our mission then, in this deep dive, is to explore Sariputta's genius. How that simple act of organizing knowledge, structuring it, can bring clarity, purpose, peace. A lasting legacy, really.
It's a powerful demonstration.
Okay, let's unpack Sariputta's approach. He starts categorizing the Dhamma into groups. Starts with single concepts, then pairs, threes, fours, all the way up to 10.
And this is where the practical genius of the organization really comes through.
So he starts with the single Dhamma,
Okay.
the fundamental teaching here. All beings are sustained by nutriment ahatitika and by volitional formations sarhakitika.
It sounds simple, but the insight is quite profound.
How so?
Well, it frames existence not as a static thing, like being, but as an active, continuous process of being sustained. Nutriment, okay, that's straightforward enough. The physical food, water, air we need.
Right.
But volitional formations. That's the intentions, the habits, the mental energy that drives our actions, shapes our experience. It's highlighting our constant reliance not just on physical fuel, but also, very importantly, on the mental energy and the intentions we cultivate.
So it's about what keeps us going, physically and mentally.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And it kind of implicitly asks us, maybe asks you listening, what truly sustains you in both those dimensions?
That's a good question. Okay, building on that foundation, Sariputta moves to pairs. drive.
Yes, the dualities. And what's fascinating here is how these pairs often highlight fundamental contrasts or essential components that work together. It's not just about listing things that exist, but showing what opposes them or complements them.
Like we're calling pairs.
Well, there's name and form, namarupa. That's basically the mental side, like thoughts, feelings, perceptions, and the physical elements. Together, they make up our experience of self, but the point is they're always changing. There's no fixed me in there.
Highlighting impermanence right away.
Exactly. Then you have pairs like ignorance and craving for becoming key drivers of suffering, the problem statement, if you will. But then balanced against that, you get positive forces like shame and regard for consequences, hairi and ottappa, the ethical foundations.
The moral compass.
Right. And ultimately, pairs pointing the way forward, calm and insight, samatha vipassana, and wisdom and liberation. It shows the path, but also the pitfalls, the things holding us back. It's a real balancing act.
Makes sense. So from pairs, we go to triples. Tayo. This must be where we get into more complex connections.
Yes, understanding deeper causes and also the goals, the attainments. Sariputta masterfully lays out these basic forces.
Like the roots of unwholesome action.
Exactly. Greed, hatred, and delusion. But crucially, he immediately presents their wholesome counterparts: non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion. It's a constant reminder. For every negative state, there's a positive opposite you can actively cultivate.
That's empowering.
It is. He also talks about the 3 kinds of misconduct: bodily, verbal, and mental. And then the 3 kinds of higher knowledge that lead to liberation: remembering past lives, understanding the rebirths of beings, and finally the knowledge of the destruction of the defilements, or asavas.
So it maps out the problem of misconduct, negative roots, and the ultimate solution, these forms of liberating knowledge.
Precisely. The structure helps you grasp those fundamental drivers of suffering and points directly towards the ultimate aims of the path. Very clear.
Okay, from these inner pillars, the discourse then expands outwards, seems like, with the quads, the kataro. Practices for self and community.
That's a great way to put it. This section gives us really essential practices for inner development, but also for fostering harmony.
The 4 foundations of mindfulness must be in here.
Absolutely. Awareness of the body, feelings, mind, and phenomena, or dhammas, key to understanding our immediate experience, moment by moment. Then you get the 4 right exertions.
Which are about effort, right?
Yes, preventing bad qualities from arising, abandoning ones that have arisen, arousing good qualities, and then maintaining the good ones you've developed. It's very action-oriented.
Practical.
Very practical. And then he expands our hearts, you could say, with the 4 immeasurables, the Brahma Viharas: loving kindness, compassion, appreciative joy, and equanimity. Practices meant to expand your mind boundlessly towards all beings.
Wow. So the quads cover mindfulness, effort, and these huge heart practices.
It's remarkably comprehensive. It's like a toolkit for holistic well-being, not just personal insight, but actively shaping your mind and how you relate to others, living skillfully.
And you mentioned something surprising in the 4s earlier about attaining selfhood.
Ah, yes, the 4 ways of attaining selfhood. Gabha Vakantiyo. It describes different degrees of consciousness associated with conception, gestation, and birth.
That seems very specific.
Yeah.
Almost biological, woven into these profound spiritual teachings. Why include that?
That's a really insightful question. I think it shows the sheer scope of the sutta. It's not just ethics or meditation. It's trying to map the entirety of existence, the mechanics of being, including these, let's say, cosmological or biological aspects as understood then.
So understanding the whole system, not just the user interface.
Kind of, yeah. It shows the sutta aims for a really complete picture. But remember, it's still linked to the practical. All these quads ultimately serve inner development and harmony, like the 4 bases of unity also mentioned here: generosity, kind speech, beneficial conduct, and impartiality, tools for connection.
Got it. Okay, moving on to the 5s, paññika. Sounds like we're getting into key obstacles and maybe ethics.
Exactly. This section brings us to some really critical insights. First, the 5 aggregates, or khandhas.
Form, feeling, perception, mental formations, consciousness.
Right, the components that make up our moment-to-moment experience of self, crucially showing that it's a collection of processes, not a fixed entity. Then he names the 5 hindrances.
The big blocks to meditation and clarity.
The big ones: sensual desire, ill will, sloth and torpor, that heavy, sleepy feeling, restlessness and remorse, and finally, doubt or uncertainty. These are the primary static on the line, blocking mental clarity.
And ethics.
Foundational. The 5 precepts: abstaining from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, and intoxicants that cause heedlessness.
And you can immediately see how upholding these precepts would counter the kind of chaos and disunity that Sariputta saw after Nigantha Nātaputta's death.
Directly. The sutta doesn't shy away from consequences either. It explicitly lists 5 dangers for someone who is immoral: loss of wealth, bad reputation, fear in assemblies, confused death, bad rebirth, and contrasts them with 5 benefits for the moral person, like increase in wealth, good reputation, confidence, peaceful death, good rebirth.
So very practical cause and effect ethics.
Very much so. Morality isn't just an abstract ideal, it has tangible results for oneself and the community.
Okay, makes sense. When we get to the 6s, the focus seems to shift a bit. How we experience the world, how we interact.
That's right. Sariputta starts with the 6 internal sense spaces: eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind.
Our input channels.
Exactly. And their corresponding 6 external counterparts, or objects: sights, sounds, smells, tastes, physical touch, and mental objects or thoughts. This just grounds us in the fundamental way we interact with reality through our senses.
But it goes beyond just the senses.
Oh, yes. It delves right into social harmony with the 6 qualities conducive to amiability, saradhamma. These are things like acting, speaking, and thinking with loving kindness towards others, sharing any gains you receive fairly, living by the same ethical precepts, and crucially, holding the same liberating view, building community glue.
And the flip side, the things that break harmony.
He tackles that head on, too. The 6 roots of contention are listed things like anger, hypocrisy, envy, deceit, stubborn attachment to one's own views. And the text gives clear guidance on how to recognize and abandon these.
So it really underscores how our experience and our relationships are shaped by both our senses and our deliberate conduct.
Precisely. And how choosing skillful actions based on things like loving kindness and shared understanding builds unity.
Building on this, the 7s, Sada, seem to introduce something deeper: spiritual riches. Awakening.
Yes, this is where we see the higher values and goals crystallize. Sariputta highlights the 7 noble treasures, Arya Dhanani.
Not gold and jewels, I presume?
Definitely not. These are faith, morality, shame the good kind, hiri dread of wrongdoing, otapa, deep learning or knowledge, generosity, and wisdom. These are presented as the true wealth, the lasting riches one can cultivate, unlike, fleeting material stuff.
That really shifts the perspective on value.
It does. And then there are the 7 factors of dotening: the bojjhanga, mindfulness, investigation of Dhamma, actively exploring the teaching's energy or effort, rapture or joy, tranquility, concentration, and equanimity. These are qualities that arise on the path and lead directly towards liberation.
Powerful stuff. It really makes you pause and think, doesn't it? What do you, listening right now, consider true wealth? Is it the stuff Sariputta lists here?
It's a core question the sutta prompts us to ask ourselves. The focus is clearly internal, spiritual qualities.
Okay, now we hit the 8s. Aitha. This section outlines the core path itself, right?
Oh.
And also seems very grounded in life's realities.
Absolutely. The centerpiece here is, of course, the Noble Eightfold Path.
Right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. The foundational framework.
It's the practical guide for transforming really every aspect of one's life towards liberation. But what I find particularly powerful about this section, the 8s, is how incredibly honest it is. It doesn't just present ideals.
How do you mean?
Well, it details the 8 bases of laziness.
Laziness gets its own section.
Seriously. Things like thinking, oh, I have work to do, I'll be tired, better lie down now, or I've just finished a journey, I'm tired, time to lie down. Or even, I've just eaten, feeling heavy, gonna lie down.
Oh, that sounds embarrassingly familiar sometimes.
Right. It's so relatable. And this very practical human insight is put in direct contrast to the 8 bases for arousing effort, basically. Recognizing the opportunity and the urgency for practice, even with those same circumstances. I have work to do, but there's practice to be done now. I've just eaten, but I have energy for practice.
So it acknowledges the excuses we make and gives us the motivation to push past them.
Exactly. And it also includes the 8 worldly conditions: gain and loss, fame and disrepute, praise and blame, pleasure and pain. It acknowledges these are just unavoidable parts of life. The goal isn't to avoid them, but to learn to navigate them with wisdom and equanimity.
That makes it feel so much more achievable somehow. It's not demanding perfection, but acknowledging the messy reality of being human.
It's a remarkably honest and practical guide, isn't it?
Definitely. Okay, shifting gears to the 9s. Nava, navigating emotion, the scope of existence.
Yes, it covers both inner states and a wider cosmic perspective. Sariputta delves into the 9 bases of resentment.
9 ways anger can start.
Pretty much. It detailed how resentment arises when you think someone has harmed you, is harming you, or will harm you, or has harmed, is harming, will harm someone you love, or, interestingly, has benefited, is benefiting, or will benefit someone you dislike.
Wow, that covers a lot of ground for holding grudges.
It does. But crucially, he immediately provides the 9 ways to overcome resentment. The core technique seems to be recognizing the futility and illogic of it, thinking, this person harmed me, but getting angry achieves nothing. How can that be helpful? It's a kind of cognitive reframing.
A practical tool for letting go.
A very practical tool for emotional mastery. Then, the text also touches on the vastness of existence by describing the 9 abodes of beings.
Different realms.
Yeah, different realms based on variations in physical form and types of perception, from humans and some gods who have diverse bodies and diverse perceptions, up through various divine realms, all the way to formless realms like infinite space or infinite consciousness, even the base of nothingness.
Whoa, that's expanding the view quite a bit.
It illustrates the Sutta's incredible scope again, mapping out this full spectrum of conscious experience, even beyond our usual human frame. And it also details the 9 successive abidings and cessations, which are very deep meditative states where specific aspects of consciousness cease temporarily, culminating in the cessation of perception and feeling altogether. Advanced stuff, but part of the complete map.
Okay, finally, we arrive at the 10s, dasa. This feels like the culmination, bringing everything together.
It really does. It represents the pick, the completion of the path. Sariputta describes, for instance, the 10 qualities that make someone a true protector or refuge for others.
What kinds of qualities?
Things you might expect, but powerfully listed. Perfect morality, extensive learning, being a good friend, being easy to speak to and open to correction, diligence in helpful activities, a deep love of the Dhamma, contentment with basic needs, strong persistent effort, unwavering mindfulness, and profound wisdom.
That's quite a list, like a blueprint for becoming a truly beneficial person.
An incredible blueprint. And then there are the comprehensive ethical frameworks again. The 10 unwholesome courses of action.
Killing, stealing, lying, harsh speech, divisive speech, idle chatter, covetousness, ill will, and wrong view.
Exactly. And directly contrasted with the 10 wholesome courses of action, basically, abstaining from those 10 unwholesome things and actively cultivating their opposites, like kindness, generosity, truthfulness, right view.
The complete ethical package.
And right at the pinnacle, the 10 aseka dhammas. Aseka means someone who has finished the training, no longer needs to train. An arahant.
So the qualities of a fully liberated being.
Yes. It's essentially the 8-fold path perfected plus perfected knowledge and perfected liberation. Right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, right knowledge, and right liberation. The absolute peak.
Wow. It's really something how Sariputta builds it all, step by step, from the most basic principle of being sustained all the way up to full enlightenment.
It's an absolutely masterful structure, a complete integrated curriculum for transformation, presented in a way designed to be clear, memorable, and unifying.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, it's worth just pausing on that purpose again. Sariputta's structured recitation, this numerical listing, it wasn't just an intellectual exercise.
Not at all.
It was a direct response to potential chaos and division. It was about ensuring unity in the community, preserving the clarity of these profound teachings, and making this wisdom accessible, understandable, for the benefit, the welfare, the happiness of everyone, for a very, very long time.
A living legacy of clarity.
And in our world today, which often feels just overloaded with information, fragmented, sometimes deeply divided, this ancient text offers such a powerful, timeless lesson. Clarity matters. Unity of understanding, it's vital within ourselves and how we communicate with others.
The principles endure.
So maybe a final thought for you as you go about your day. Think about your own life, your work, maybe your studies, your personal interests. What complex areas do you grapple with? Where do you feel that sense of overload or confusion?
That's a great reflection point.
And how might applying some kind of systematic approach, maybe not strictly numerical like Sariputta, but breaking things down, organizing them into clear, actionable components, how might that help you achieve greater clarity? Prevent that internal confusion, maybe even foster a bit more harmony in your own sphere?
Could structuring your own knowledge lead to more peace? Interesting question to ponder.